Hey guys, Willie Mayette, creator of JAZZEDGE. I want to welcome you to episode number 10 of the Confident Improviser Podcast. So today we are going to be talking about the big three seventh chords, and I'm going to show you some cool exercises that are going to help you be able to master these seventh chords so that you can recall them faster at the piano. I want to remind you that this podcast is designed to be used along with my Confident Improviser program found at JAZZEDGE. There will be a video replay of this as well, which you could find at theconfidentimproviser.com. You could find more information about it there. Okay, so just go back to theconfidentimproviser.com. All right, so the big three seventh chords. So when I'm talking about the big three seventh chords, I'm talking about major seventh, minor seventh, dominant seventh chords. All right, you really want to make sure that you know those chord tones. Now we're using all three of those types of chords, those three quality of chords, in exercise number 10. Exercise number 10 starts with a C major 7th chord, right? Then it goes to an A7 chord, then a D minor 7 chord, and then a G7 chord. So we're getting the major, the minor, and the dominant. All right, so I got 5 exercises here that I want to show you that are going to help you be able to master these chords faster. Each of these exercises involves you spelling out the name of the notes in the chord. All right, so what that basically means is, like, if we were to play a C major triad, that would be the notes C, E, and G, right? So C is the root, E is the third, G is the fifth. Now, I realize that, I have students around the world, and some students, especially in France and Europe, learn using a solfege method, and they are not actually spelling out the actual note names. So I will tell you that you can do this via solfege, but it's going to be a lot more difficult for you. So I suggest and encourage you to learn the note names of the chords. Trust me, you won't regret it down the road. That theory is really going to help you be able to master these chords a lot faster, okay? All right, so with our C major 7th chord, the notes are C, E, G, and B. So C, E, G, and B. Let's just get down the 4 chords first of all. A7 chord is A, C sharp, E, and G. D minor 7th is D, F, A, and C. And finally, G7 is G, B, D, and F. So you, first of all, have to know those chords. If you don't know those chords, then I wouldn't bother doing these exercises because, quite frankly, you're just not ready yet. But if you kind of know the chords, or you could, you know the notes of those, you could spell those, these next 5 exercises are going to help you be able to really lock in those chords much better at the instrument. Now, you can spell these away from the piano, and that's what we're going to be doing here in this podcast episode. But remember, you can also play them as well, right? So these exercises are good to play at the piano, and I will be doing some of that as well. All right, so if you happen to be looking at the podcast video replay, there is sheet music that you can download for this. Will make the exercises a little bit easier. All right, so the first exercise is just going up from the roots. All right, so all you're doing is you're spelling the chord up from the root of each of the chords. So for C major 7th, spelling it up from the root, it would be C, E, G, B natural. All right, so this is what we just did a second ago, right? A7 would be A, C sharp, E, and G. D minor 7th would be D, F, A, and C. And finally, G7 would be G, B, D, and F. Okay, so first of all, you just want to make sure you could spell all of those chords going up from the root. The next exercise, exercise number 2, is simply going down. So you start on the 7th and you go down each of the chord tones. So C major 7th, I'll give you a second. Think about what it is. All right, so it's B, G, E, C. A7, what is it? It's G, E, C sharp, A, D minor 7. Start spelling out the notes. It's C, A, F, D, and finally G7. What are the notes? It's F, D, B, and then finally G. Now, that little bit of pause that I gave you should give you enough time to be able to spell those notes before I start to play them. If not, it just means that you have to work on spelling these chords a little bit faster, okay? All right, exercise number 3. This is where it gets a little bit interesting and a little bit more tricky, so let's take some time on this. So again, the notes of the C major 7th chord are C, E, G, and B, right? And we have, this is the root, the 3rd, the 5th, and the 7th of the chord, okay? So that's all fine. So this exercise is called from the 3rd. So that means you start on the 3rd, which is E, and then you spell the rest of the notes. So then it'd be E, and then C, G, B. So again, we have root 3, 5, 7. I already said the 3. I said the 3rd. So now I'm going to say the root. I'm not going to say the 3rd again because I already said it. So I'm going to skip over. I'm going to say the 5th, and then I'm going to say the 7th. So it goes 3rd, root, 5th, 7th. Okay? 3rd, root, 5th, 7th. And the notes for that for C major are E, C, G, B. Spell it for A7. C sharp, A, E, G. Spell it for D minor. F, D, A, C. Spell it for G7. B, G, D, F. All right, great job. Now, if you didn't get that, just rewind that, try doing that again. But I'm spelling it the 3rd, then the root, then the 5th, then the 7th. Okay, so exercise number 4, this is from the 5th. Well, what do you think we're going to do now? Back to our C major 7th chord. Now we're going to say the 5th, which is G. Then we're going to say the rest of the notes, which is then the root is C, the 3rd is E, and the 7th is B. So we go 5th, root, 3rd, 7th. Obviously, we skip over the 5th because we said it at the beginning. So 5, root, 3, 7. So that would be, for C major, G, C, E, B. For A7, E, A, C sharp, G. For D minor, A, D, F, C. And for G7, D, G, B, F. All right, great job. And then finally, exercise number 5, you guessed it, from the 7th. So then we say the 7th of the chord first, then we go down and say the root, the 3rd, and the 5th. So for C major 7th, that would be B, C, E, G. B, C, E, G. Okay, A7, G, A, C sharp, E, D minor 7th. C, D, F, A, and finally G7. F, G, B, D. So you should realize as well on that from the 3rd, from the 5th, from the 7th, we did the 3rd, then the root, then the 5th, then the 7th. We did the 5th, then the root, then the 3rd, and the 7th. We did the 7th, then the root, the 3rd, and the 5th, right? So we are always going down. Well, of course, we could go the opposite direction as well. So when we're starting on the 3rd, I could go the 3rd, E, and then come down from the top. B, G, C, right? And then on A, it'd be C sharp, G, E, A. On D minor, it would be F, C, A, D, and on G7, it would be B, F, D, G. So just know that you can change around that direction as well. All right, so let's talk about practicing these at the piano. Well, when we sit at the piano, we could simply just do these as 8th notes. Okay, so that's literally just going right up and down, going right on up, okay? And if you want, you can go down as well. And actually, a real nice exercise is go down one hand and go up the other hand. If you don't like that interval there, it's a little too close for you, don't worry, I get it. In that case, play the hands an octave apart. And again, if you don't like that sound, it's too much tension, then just go in the same direction. right, so what you can also do is you could start to mix these together. So we have 3 root 5 7. Okay, well let's do the 3 root 5 7 over here in the right hand. But remember how I said that you could also come down. So you could go 3 7 5th root. That's separated by an octave. So in the left hand, I'm playing E, C, G, B. In the right hand, I'm going E, B, G, C. Right? So you can, there's all different patterns that you can come up with here of these, but you could find it really quite interesting. What about if you did something like this, rather than going 3 root 5 7 in both hands, do that in the left hand, but in the right hand, let's keep it simple. Let's just go root 3 5 7. All right, what if we did 5 root 3 7 in the left hand and still just do root 3 5 7 in the right hand? All right? There we go. So what if you did something like go down in the left hand? Let's do this on A7. So I'm going to do the 7th, the 5th, the 3rd, and the root in A7. So that's G, E, C sharp, and A in the left hand. And then just to start, I'll go up in the right hand. All right, that's pretty simple. So now what if I do the 7 root 3 5 in the right hand? Right, so I was just going down in the left hand, 7 root 3 5 in the right hand. So you could practice these, in some more advanced ways like that, but really the best way to practice them at the piano to just get started is just simply go up and down, and just try and play them nice and steady. You don't have to go as fast as I just went. That's good. Not too fast, right? Just nice and steady. That's the name of the game, okay? Now, to finish up here, you might have the question of, okay, so why do I really need to know these chord tones? Well, remember, when improvising, if you know your chord tones, you can always use your chord tones for improvisation, and it's always going to sound great. So listen to what happens if I put on the iReal Pro track for exercise number 10, right? And then I'm going to play my root 3, root 7 chord shells in the left hand. But now listen to what happens when I am just improvising using chord tones in my right hand, okay? Listen to how good this sounds. Here we go. Whoops, forgot to put the bass on. Sorry about that. Let's put that bass sound on right now. Here we go. Excellent. That's all chord tones. Now, again, it's not blowing the doors off of anyone's house for improvisation, right? I mean, it's not the most interesting improvisation that has ever been played, but it sounds good, right? And that's what we're looking for at this stage of the game. Just something that we could play, we can hold on to, it's going to sound halfway decent, it's going to get us an improvisational sound, and then we can always add on to that later. But in order to make this happen, you have to know your chord tones, and you have to know them quick, 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 quick. So if I say A7, bam, A, C sharp, E, G. You've just said it already. If I say D minor 7, you immediately see it as D, F, A, C. G7, G, B, D, F. Okay? And then you start moving into other keys. E flat 7, E flat G, B flat D flat, B flat major 7th, B flat D, F, A, right? G major 7, G, B, D, F sharp, right? You should be able to see those chords and be able to spell them very, very, very quickly. Faster the better, all right? You can't spell them too fast. So if you can get it down, C, E, G, B, A, C sharp, E, G, like if you can get it that fast, great. If you can't spell it that fast, don't fret, right? As long as you could be like, all right, D minor 7, D, F, A, C. Okay, that's good. It's not super fast, but it's not too slow. The exercises I laid out in today's podcast will help you get there. It does take work, so be patient with yourself, do the work, right? And I'll see you guys in the next exercise.